Okay, so this is my test on my DNA. This is just another one, right? And I think I already did a video on this particular one. I was gonna do a video on the other one, but they changed the way the website operates. So I had to fall back and just come up with some other content, just come up with some other content. And I want to talk about how the tests are getting extensive, right? Like they can test for all of your behaviors, your health, your labs, your nutrition and fitness. They can test for all this stuff, right? But this is what I want to talk about right here. They can test for all of that. Like right here, right? I have 10% East Asian, 10% East Asian, 4% American Indian, 87% African. I love these results, right? Because they don't include European. They don't include European. What I like about this, right, is I'm on the right side of history when I look at this. It says right here, this analysis goes back many generations. As a result, you might see ancestral components that do not align with your known or recent family history. When I see East Asian, right, I think of the Adam and Eve. 10%, right? Like, imagine how cool that is when you can look in the mirror and see somebody who's a part of that tribe today and you can see yourself in them. Like, it's somebody in that tribe right now out of the groups that's with the Adam and Eve that specifically looks like me. I think that's cool. I think that's cool. Like, I can look at somebody from the Bay of Bengals and be like, this person looks like me. How are we related? And then you see, oh, you left this particular tribe eons ago. You know what I mean? Like, to me, like, that's the most beautiful thing ever. Like, when you can pinpoint a tribe and see, like, how you're related to these people. I think that's the coolest thing ever, right? Like right here, 4% American Indian, right? If you got 1%, 2%, 3%, you are those people. It doesn't matter. Now on my true ancestry, right, it pops up different, right? Because like they got more reference population. So if this was my true ancestry, this would probably shoot up to like 20%. Just based off of what the reference populations that they found. Like they found people who I was a part, who I'm related to, from Suriname, Mexico, Peru, Bolivia, and then like this right here, this the kick right here, 87% African. So this will go up to like 20%. So that'll be like 100%, right? 87% African. Now, these are the people who they found who I am closely distant to. Mende, Yoruba, Isan, Gambia Mandinka, Luya. Luya people, right? You can spot them if you go to Kenya. They dang near all look alike. The Luya people, they dang near all look alike. But, I think like with Africa, right? While people look at Africa and be like, you know what? They don't really see the uniqueness in being classified as one of these groups of people because they weren't taught the history properly. Like if they found out like, these people had advanced civilizations, they were holders of the keepers, holders of the technology. Like they had very vast mathematical systems. then they'll take to it. But a lot of people, they kind of look at Africa as just being like, you know what, these are the people I see every day, so I'm not excited about that, right? You know what I mean? Like they don't really see. And then you got some people who just like it hasn't hit them yet. They don't really get it. You know, like they don't really get the idea of being African, right? Um, they don't really get it. You know, they don't really get it. And to me, you gotta really know like what it is that you're looking at, right? You gotta really know. Um Mandinka. When you look up these people, you see rich culture as far as again, food, science, religion. You see a vast amount of knowledge in these systems that they hold. Isan, Yoruba, and then you go down closely more, then you kind of see different things, right? Now, this is the Adam and Eve right here, the Bengali. They are direct descendants of these people right here. Peruvian. My Mexican is very high. I don't know these people right here. I don't know these people. So, and this is interesting too. I only got 1% Northwestern European. That's interesting because I can find it. I can actually look on my genealogy and see a picture of my white grandfathers. So that must have meant that DNA was not strong enough to uphold in this search here. It wasn't strong enough because obviously, right, I'm dark skinned. They were lily white. So it just depends on how your DNA goes. Like some people, they can be born to biracial parents or a biracial marriage, and they can come out either way. I'm glad I came out dark skinned though, you know, because you don't want colonizer. You don't want the colonizer blood. You don't want the colonizer blood. You want all your blood percentages to say African. For real. I don't really know much about these tribes. I need to find out more about them. But, you know, I know about the Mandinka, right? I think Sylvia Fowles, I think she's Mandinka. Yeah, I think she's Mandinka. She's from Florida. I don't really know much about the Yoruba, the Mende, the Isan. I know a little bit about the. I can spot a Luya. I know how the Luya look. Let me see. African Caribbean. Okay. So yeah, this is like my new passion right now, genealogy. Not even genealogy, but just like DNA testing. I love science and DNA. This like my new kick right here. Just testing like for different reference populations and stuff like that. I'm not so much hooked on genealogy because I think like, you know, the only reason people do genealogy because you want your ancestors to rest in peace, right? I think the only reason people do genealogy is because they want to find records that say this is theirs or that is there. And that's why I think it gets confusing. Because like when you do things like that, right, and you find like notarizations from like the 1700s, the 1800s, when you do stuff like that, right, it confuses people. Because a person could leave something behind and then somebody will go back and claim it. And now they get in trouble with the sheriff's office. They get in trouble with the local municipalities. It's not something you want to do. It's not ideal to do. Um, I think that the thing about DNA that I like, right, is that once you find one nation that you're akin to, you can go back and claim citizenship off of DNA. I think that's cool as ever. I think like you can go back and claim, like they have this thing at the embassy for Uganda, right? Where if you go back, they'll allow you to go to their facility and get tested for DNA. And if it comes back that you are related to one nation in Africa, right? That you were a victim of the transatlantic slave trade, perhaps, whatever, they'll give you citizenship. I think that's cool. They'll give you dual citizenship. And what I want from Africa, right? I want diplomatic status. I want diplomatic immunity. So like, say for instance, like if I get in trouble in America for whatever reason, right? Because I stay out of the law's way. I don't do anything that would get me looked at by, police or like, selling drugs, anything, human trafficking, anything like that, right? Say if I was to get in trouble by the law, right? I want something from Africa, right? Diplomatic immunity, a diplomatic passport where I get in trouble and they can't prosecute me. They gotta take me to the African courts in order to prosecute me. That's what I want. And I think like DNA, investing in DNA is only going to strengthen that case. This is why I always say, if you get money, like any type of money that you get, try to send it back to Africa on a debit so they can know that you're funding some of these countries. You got SendWave, you got World Remit. Find an organization, find someone who you want to invest in, send money back to them. Send money back to them. We're supposed to be doing business, man. Like find a business over there, like support them. You know what I mean? Like support them. It's only going to help. And I'm just talking to my people who are African, right? I don't expect anyone who's not African to support someone that's African. I don't expect that, right? There's so much xenophobia in this world that is crazy, right? You got all these people who want to disassociate from Africans for whatever reason, for whatever reason. I don't know why, but, I think it's great for us, right? But the only thing I fear is that, we don't populate with each other and we don't advance science. Because like we should get to a point where like when we're producing with each other, we're creating children, we shouldn't get sick. Like our children shouldn't develop deformities. Like we're in a science age. We need to learn how to like do nutrition, do innovation. We need to learn how to do these things. But like I would love to see more information on DNA and like how we related to different people. So you see here, they got the little monkey right here symbolizing ancestry. We probably did evolve from apes. I don't know. But I know if we have DNA from a monkey, I know it's something there that we need to know about. So I got 13% Colombian. So Colombian would be the Afro-Colombians. Even if it's not an Afro-Colombian, right? Because all Colombians are Afro. But like even if it's not an Afro-Colombian, right? You still look at the chromosome map to see what percentage of Afro-Colombian that you do have. You still look at that, right? And I don't know if this is like a unique chromosome map or how it's done, but this right here is a sophisticated website. I really like it. 82% Peruvian. That's a high map. That's a high map right there. 70%, that's high. Iberian, that's 90%. That's pretty high. Um, 90% European. 90. Yeah, that's pretty high too. Well, only 1%, right? So, yeah, man. Like, you find this information out, you good to go. You good to go. You good to go, man. But I gotta find out more about the Mende. I gotta find out more about Yoruba. I gotta find more about Isan. I gotta find more about Gambian Medinka. I gotta find more about Luya. I gotta find more out about them. Yep. And before I leave, I want to say this: when you see an African people, right, wherever part of the map they're from, right, look at their skin tone. If they have the same skin tone as you, you're related to them somehow. It's like in my instance, right? Like when you have all my siblings are half. I don't have a same father or same mother. I don't have same father, same mother with none of my siblings. So when they come out and they look different than me and they have the same skin tone as me or something like that, that's incest. And that's not even a case for me, but I'm just saying, like, when you look at somebody on the other side of the world and they're the same complexion as you, that's incest. That means you're really related to them. You know what I mean? But a lot of people, they don't, I don't know, man. They think like because Africans or something like that, they think Africans are somehow different. Like, bro, if you got blue skin and they got blue skin, and I used to see that a lot in Chicago with like the people. Like it used to be people in Chicago I used to see, man, that look just like the Adam and Eves, like people who I grew up with, right? Yeah, I used to see all type of phenotypes that had dark skin. Now it's like in 2026, everybody has light skin. Like everybody in the black community has light skin. Everybody. It's like all those people disappeared. I don't know what it is. It's like even when you look at social media, right? They push the light skinned people to you the most. Like I used to go through my algorithm and try to find dark skinned black people. Then I just gave up. I said I'm just gonna go to Africa. And then I found out like, okay, it's the same feel. Now I got over it a little bit. I was just thinking like, oh, it's the same thing. But you don't see dark skinned Americans. And what they don't tell you is dark skinned Americans are the original Europeans. That's what they don't tell you. That's what they don't tell you. Dark skinned Americans are the original Europeans. They don't tell you that. Okay. So let me look at, so look at this, right? You got 3% American Indian right here and 1% American Indian in Mende. This means that the Mende are aboriginal to America. You got 1%. You got 1% saying that they have a presence in America. 1% that Yoruba has a presence in America. All Africa say 1%. Okay, so Bengali. Okay, so 3%, right? This African right here, Bengali. So these would be the Adam and Eves, probably. Okay. And here goes more African right here. Or I think the green is African. So that's 82% African. No. That's American Indian. So American Indian right here. So the 70% Bengali, and keep in mind that's 3% American Indian, 3% American Indian. Okay, no. 1% African for Bengali, 3% American Indian for Bengali. So that makes sense. That makes sense. So this would be East Asian, I think. I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure. Let me see. Yeah, I'm not sure what that is. That blue may be something else. I don't know. Yeah. High African presence for Mexican. That's 4%. And you got a high African presence for Vietnamese. Yep. So this means the origin of these people must be African. And then it converges to just being East Asian, because this 91% East Asian, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, yep. So this is interesting though. Like this is very interesting, man. And I wish like the laws in America was just like you could live like some of your Aboriginal cultures. But you got all these European males, these cultureless males, right? These rejects, these cultureless rejects, who all pumped up on steroids. They're going around arresting people. They're giving people tickets, citation. They can't do this. They can't do that. Like literally, imagine if the world didn't have white people, right? Imagine how much more freedom that we would have. We would be able to like actually live our culture out. You know what I mean? Like we would actually be able to live our culture out. Like if I live in Detroit, I can't go to Belle Isle and not wear clothes and sit on the riverbanks like our ancestors used to do. I can't do that. I would get thrown in jail. You know what I mean? Like I can't walk around bare. I can't walk around butt naked. I can't do that. They would throw me in jail. You know what I mean? Like you can't do that. And all these cultures have a nudity factor where they were once living like that, right? Like the Bengali, the Tamil, the Peruvians. These ancient people didn't wear all these linens and cottons on their skin. They didn't do that. They didn't do that. You know what I mean? But this is a good website. I would say go to it. Check it out. Upload your DNA kit so you can get your results. This stuff, I love this. I love this website. I love Ancestry website. Ancestry.com is probably the most popular one right now. I love that website. And my favorite website of them all is My True Ancestry, because like they really go deep into your DNA and do research on it, and they got a lot more reference populations. So, you know, yeah, that's the end goal, man. It's to live your culture out. It's like, you know, if you want to plant a fruit tree and you want to do it butt naked, like you should be able to do that, man. Like you shouldn't have to live in a house at night, and you shouldn't have to be in fear of somebody coming up trying to mug you or trying to take something from you or trying to, deprive you of your right or your freedoms. You shouldn't have to deal with that, man. Like, you literally shouldn't have to deal with that. You can't do that in America, though. Like, and I don't think the answer is getting up and packing my bags. Anybody packing their bags and going to Africa. I don't think that's the end goal. Because energies follow people, man. And if if your energy doesn't match with somebody because they don't feel like you should be in their land or something like that, I feel like that's true. I feel like that's true. I feel like you should be given reign to live like you want to live in your country. I don't think you need a senator. You don't need a house rep. You don't need ICE. You don't need any of these agencies to tell you how to live, man. I think like watch who they put into these positions for Secretary of Education over the years for presidency. These are going to be the people who's going to be working against us because they don't want us to know our real history. But thanks to DNA, we finding out our real history, but they don't want to put it in the books for the general population. Because if the general population knew about these websites, they actually have more pride to change things that affect them. Because it makes me sick to my stomach that I can live on a block for how many years and no one plants a fruit tree in their front yard or their backyard. No one plants a fruit tree. That's scary. That's scary. That lets me know that people are like they're zombies. That lets me know people are zombies. Like you living like, to me that's scary, man. That's scary. Great peace, Yakoki.